The burning grain, Ukrainian MiG strike. The morning rose gray over Kherson, its streets still empty under a low-hanging fog. From above, the Ukrainian MiG-29 cut a thin silhouette across the clouds, moving like a predator at just 50 feet above the earth. The pilot, a young man named Andriy, had memorized every contour of this countryside, the rivers, the rows of power lines, the scattered farmhouses. His target was simple in theory, a grain silo that the Russians had converted into a drone command center. In practice, it was a nest of death. From a checkpoint ahead, Russian forces had him in their sights. A missile launched, twisting a trail of smoke into the air. Andriy yanked left, then right, forcing the seeker past its intended path. It was just the first of 4 missiles, all converging within seconds. They fired without lock, hoping proximity alone would kill him. The MiG groaned under 9 Gs as Andriy executed a brake turn, sending the missiles overshooting harmlessly, but leaving thick plumes of smoke marking his passage, a beacon to every other Russian position for miles. He dove again, threading power line corridors at 540 knots, eyes flicking between altimeter and radar warning receiver. Each low pass was a gamble. Too low, and he would become one with the earth. Too high, and the SAMs would find him. Nap of the earth flying had never been so lethal. Every maneuver burned fuel, pushing him closer to exhaustion before the target was even in sight. Behind him, Russian radar systems came online, the old P-18 spoon rest humming to life, sending intermittent returns across the frequencies. Andriy's SPO-15 threat receiver screamed sporadically, warnings of radar contact, of missile guidance. Each beep a reminder of the seconds slipping by. Yet the MiG's modified systems, engineered by Ukrainian engineers to marry Soviet hardware with Western bombs, gave him just enough leeway to navigate visually, relying on memorized terrain points and instincts honed in countless simulations. The first obstacle emerged as a manned air defense team on a rooftop, missiles ready to fire. Another evasive maneuver, up to 200 feet, exposing himself to multiple new threats. Smoke trails rose behind him like stalkers pointing their weapons, vectoring every Russian asset ahead. The MiG's radar altimeter screamed warnings, and the instruments flickered under the stress, but Andriy maintained a single-minded focus. The grain silo waited below. The Tor M2 SAM system, cold until now, began its startup sequence. He had 45 seconds before it could engage. GPS signals flickered under jamming, satellites dropping from 8 to 4. Without them, the JDAMs would lose precision. But Ukrainian engineers had thought of this. Inertial navigation systems spun up, ring laser gyroscopes calculating every moment since takeoff. The weapon could glide with deadly accuracy, even blind to GPS. Andriy checked the pylon indicators. All systems green, battery sufficient, backup impact mode ready. Now committed, he began the climb, a vertical yo-yo to gain altitude and prepare for JDAM release. 9 Gs crushed him into his seat, the MiG's RD-33 engines roaring in defiance. Instruments spun, altimeter rolling like a slot machine, airspeed decaying as the nose climbed. The radar threat was solid. The Tor M2 had locked him, command-guided missiles now racing silently toward his path. He pressed on, waiting for the exact release point, knowing each second was measured in meters of error that could spell death. At 15,000 feet, with airspeed just under stall, he released the JDAM. Explosive bolts fired, the 500-pound bomb separating cleanly from its pylon. Diamond-shaped wings unfolded, guiding it on a 40-mile glide toward the silo. 2 more seconds of stable flight. The weapon acquired its path, calculating wind, altitude, and trajectory unstoppable. Andrei dove into a split S, deploying chaff to mask his escape. The radar cross-section, minimized as Doppler notching, rendered him nearly invisible to Russian optics. The first missiles closed, guided by command links, attempting to strike him as he maneuvered. Fragments of the failed intercept exploded around him, some punching the MiG with a hammering force that shook the cockpit. One engine was hit, hydraulics partially lost, control surfaces stiffened. Still, the MiG screamed over the town at 800 feet, weaving, rolling, banking, the airframe straining under each command input. Survival was a balance between human reflex and mechanical endurance. Below, the silo erupted. The JDAM hit the center support column at over 600 miles per hour. Concrete and steel vaporized in microseconds, the explosive energy converting mass into a cloud of fire and smoke. Secondary explosions followed as drone munitions and batteries detonated, turning the facility into a rolling inferno. The blast ripped through 8 floors in 6 seconds, each collapse hammering the next. Dust and debris climbed skyward, visible for miles, a cloud of smoke marking the annihilation. Andrei's MiG, half damaged, limped toward friendly airspace. Twin engines were now one. Hydraulics partially compromised, fuel margin minimal. Every control input required strength and precision. The city below was waking, the enemy scrambling, but the MiG's momentum carried him forward. Every radar sweep missed him. Optical tracking failed, and the missiles fired in desperation could not catch a pilot who had become part machine, part instinct. As he crossed the border into Ukrainian-controlled airspace, Andrei exhaled, shaking hands, gripping the throttle. Behind him, the silo lay in ruins, every Russian drone, every operator incapacitated. The morning sun began to illuminate the devastation, a silent testament to precision, courage, and the deadly calculus of modern war. In the quiet hangar later, engineers reviewed telemetry and footage. The MiG had survived against odds impossible to quantify. The JDAM had hit precisely, the threat neutralized. Yet victory was tempered by exhaustion, by knowledge of what had been risked, by the lives and machinery left in the void behind the strike. Outside, dawn rose over fields scarred by fire and smoke, indifferent to human victories, indifferent to war. Andrei leaned back, eyes closing briefly. For all the numbers, instruments, and calculations, he knew it was a human story, too. Fear and courage, instinct and decision, fragility and endurance. War was no longer fought only with men and bullets. Now it was a symphony of machines, human will, and split-second judgment. And he had survived, for now.